Fred Matiang'i in trouble after Uhuru Kenyatta shortchanges him with his brother Muhoho Kenyatta. Welcome to Kenyans Media. As we bring you these news updates as they break, kindly consider subscribing to our news channel. Now, Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma has triggered a fresh political storm after declaring the former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i will not appear on the presidential ballot in the 2027 general election, either as a candidate or running mate. The bold prediction, delivered amid growing speculations about the next presidential race, has intensified already simmering succession politics and exposed competing narratives within Kenya's opposition landscape. Kaluma's remarks come at a time when political camps are quietly positioning for the post-2022 electoral cycle. Well, some opposition figures have been promoting Fred Matiang'i as a potential challenger for President William Ruto. The Homa Bay lawmaker insists that the public conversation is out of step within the real power dynamics unfolding behind the scenes. His intervention has quickly drawn mixed reactions across political cycles, highlighting how early the battle for 2027 is beginning to take shape. Speaking publicly, Kaluma argued that the likelihood for Fred Matiang'i appearing on the 2027 presidential ticket is effectively zero. The legislator suggested that the current political maneuvering points in a completely different direction from what the observers assume. The MP did not frame his position as a mere speculation. Instead, he presented it as informed reading, ongoing elite negotiations, and strategic calculations taking place away from the public eye. Political analysts say that the categorical statements are rare and this early in an electoral cycle, making Kaluma's remarks particularly notable. They also reflect rising tension within opposition ranks, where multiple figures are being floated as potential standard bearers. Central to Kaluma's argument is the claim that quiet political engagement, rather than public rallies or early campaign tours, will ultimately determine who appears on the ballot. According to the MP, influential actors within Kenya's political establishment are already shaping the field, and these networks of influence, he suggested, often outweigh visible campaign activity. The perspective aligns with Kenya's long-standing tradition of elite coalition building, where the key decisions about presidential tickets frequently emerge from negotiated alliances rather than purely grassroots momentum. Observers know that if Kaluma's reading proves accurate, early political mobilization by aspirants may be limited impact unless backed by broader coalition agreements. Kaluma further complicated the debate by linking future political alignments to the influence of former President Uhuru Kenyatta. He argued that the past alliances and political loyalties continue to shape current calculations. In Kenya's political culture, long-standing partnerships often carry expectations of reciprocity. Kaluma suggested that such relationships could play a decisive role in determining endorsements and coalition formations ahead of the 2027 election. The reference to Uhuru is significant because the former president remains an influential figure within sections of the opposition, particularly within the Jubilee Party network that has been associated with Matiang'i's emerging political profile. However, analysts caution that the extent of Uhuru's future political involvement remains uncertain and could evolve as the election cycle approaches. Kaluma's remarks land in an environment where a discussion about the next presidential contest is already accelerating, despite the election still being some distance away. Within opposition cycles, various names have been floated as potential challengers to President William Ruto. Matiang'i has been among the most frequently mentioned, particularly after reports of early political mobilization and quiet endorsements from sections of the political class. Supporters of the former Interior CS argue that his technocratic reputation and national visibility position him as a serious contender. Critics, however, question whether he has built sufficient grassroots political networks to sustain a national campaign. Kaluma's intervention effectively throws cold water on the growing narrative of Matiang'i's inevitability. Reaction to the MP's comments has been sharply divided. Some political observers view his remarks as the realistic reading of Kenya's fluid coalition politics, where early frontrunners often fail to secure final nominations. Others dismiss the claims as mature or premature and politically motivated, noting that the 2027 race is still in its formative stages. They argue that Kenya's political environment can now shift rapidly, especially as economic conditions, coalition talks, and regional dynamics evolve. Within opposition ranks, the statement has subtly exposed underlying tensions over succession planning, while some leaders are pushing for early consolidation behind a single candidate. Others appear cautious about committing too soon. Kenya's electoral history provides a context for Kaluma's prediction, and presidential races in the country have frequently been reshaped by the late-stage coalition agreements, unexpected defections, and shifting regional alliances. In several past elections, candidates who appeared dominant early in the cycle ultimately failed to secure unified coalition backing. Conversely, compromise candidates have sometimes emerged late and reshaped the contest. The history lends some weight to Kaluma's argument that current public narratives may not reflect the final political configuration. However, analysts stress that each election cycle carries unique dynamics, and historical patterns do not guarantee future outcomes. For opposition parties, the emerging debate highlights a familiar strategic challenge, whether to rally early behind a single figure or allow competitive internal process to unfold. Early unity can project strength and clarity to voters, but premature consolidation can also alienate key allies and Kaluma's comments suggest that influential actors may still be negotiating behind the scenes, potentially delaying any definitive endorsements. The risk for the opposition is that prolonged uncertainty could provide the incumbent administration with a strategic advantage. As the opposition debates its full standard bearer, President Ruto retains the structural advantages of incumbency, and these include national visibility, established political networks, and the ability to shape the policy agenda. For any challenger to mount credible campaign, opposition unity will likely be essential. Fragmentation has historically weakened attempts to unseat sitting presidents in Kenya, and this reality explains the intense maneuvering and the heightened sensitivity around political or other potential candidates such as Matiang'i. Several indicators will help clarify whether Kaluma's prediction holds weight, and this includes formal coalition talks within opposition parties, endorsements from key political figures, and the pace of grassroots mobilization by potential aspirants. The role of influential political brokers, often operating quietly, will also be critical, and Kenyan presidential politics has repeatedly shown that backroom negotiations can dramatically reshape the field, and for now, the picture remains fluid with multiple pathways still possible. Peter Kaluma's assertion that Fred Matiang'i will not appear on the 2027 presidential ticket is more than a provocative political soundbite. It highlights the intense early-stage maneuvering already underway as Kenya begins its long march towards the next general election. The debate underscores a central truth of Kenyan politics, and that is presidential contests are also often decided as much by the coalition engineering by the individual ambition. If Kaluma is correct, the current public focus on certain candidates may shift dramatically once elite negotiations mature. For voters, the episode serves as an early reminder that the 2027 race is already taking shape behind closed doors. For opposition leaders, it underscores the urgency for managing unity, expectations, and strategy well ahead of the formal campaign period. Ultimately, whether Matiang'i runs or not may matter less than what the unfolding debate reveals about Kenya's political system. That is a high-stakes arena where alliances, timing, and elite consensus often determine who reaches the ballot and who is left behind. That is all for today from Kenyans Media, where you get these news updates as they break. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel as a way of motivating us and also supporting this platform.